Welcome. This is just going to be a quick video on how dependencies work in version 9. A quick high-level overview of the changes between version 8 and version 9 dependencies in decisions. So the first thing that we need to talk about is what is a dependency. Dependencies are what allow you to reuse, reference, and access elements from one project to another. If you're watching this video, you probably have a generalized idea about dependencies and how they work, but the paradigm has shifted from version 8 to version 9 in the way that you implement these dependencies. Version 8 and earlier, you were allowed to have circular dependencies like the image on the left, whereas moving forward into version 9, dependencies are just allowed to go one singular direction. Now, they can go multiple directions out, but you cannot have project A depend on project B, and then project B also depend on project A. You can see that on the right side image, there's a kind of a red X between project A and project B saying, hey, that if A is used in B, you cannot use B and A. So what are some easy resolves for that? And we would recommend you try to resolve a lot of this before migrating your instances to version 9. So the easiest resolve is to, rather than having project A depend on project B and project B depend on project A, the easiest resolve would be to create a new project that has commonly used elements and have both projects depend on that. Here's a quick little graphic kind of showing that in images. So when it comes to dependencies themselves, you can attach them and monitor them using the dependencies dashboard. So that's going to be shown when you click on the Info tab on the top right, and we'll take a look at that here in a moment. So once you have declared a dependency in a project, you can utilize elements from a project in another project. You can do that using pick existing in dependencies or by searching for it in the toolbox. And we'll take a look at that here in a moment. The dependency elements in your flow will be designated using the icon of the project. So for this particular example, we have that lighthouse icon for that project, and because it is a dependency, it utilizes the icon instead of the default decisions icon. All right, so let's take a quick look at what this is going to look like in decisions. I have 3 projects here in my instance, and none of them have any dependencies as it currently sits. Navigating into a project, like purchase request, you can declare your dependencies up here on the top right, dependencies. But notice that when I add this dependency for, let's say, Lunch and Learn, so as it currently sits, the purchase request is going to depend on Lunch and Learn. Once I have set this up, if I go back and I go to Lunch and Learn to dependencies, I cannot add that project because these 2 projects already depend on it, right? So if you wanted to remove these, you could click it and click Remove Dependency. It will not let you remove a dependency if it is using elements, so you'd have to go in and get rid of those shared elements. But now that I've removed those, I can go and go this way. But again, back, so now Lunch and Learn depends on purchase request. However, if I go back to purchase request, go to dependencies, I don't have the Lunch and Learn option. So it's a one-way dependency. But again, what you can do is you can create a common project that's going to contain all of the elements that you might need. So you could go back and say, okay, I'm putting all of my common elements in this Lunch and Learn. Now when I go to File Directory, I can make this depend on Lunch and Learn, and I can make this depend on Lunch and Learn. So it's kind of a workaround rather than having these circular dependencies where you affect one project and it goes right into the next project, and then that adjusts the first project, and you kind of create these circular troubleshooting issues. We're working our way towards singular linear dependencies. So there's that. Again, in this dependencies dashboard, you are given options here to change and remove or open these projects. But the cool thing about this is, so in this purchase request, I've declared Lunch and Learn as a dependency. I have this gear icon as a head for the icon. And in that project itself, Lunch and Learn, I've got a number of entities, a number of references, forms, and flows. So I could grab a flow called Angel, right? And if I bounce back over, again, we are depending on it. And if I go back over here to create a flow, and I utilize an element, if I type in angel over here and find that flow, because again, it is a dependency, it'll show that geared icon saying, hey, this is that flow, and I can go in and edit it how I might see fit. But those are the quick overview on how dependencies are going to work in version 9. We are going to have another video on troubleshooting some of this, so if you are having trouble getting it set up, you can watch that video as well. One thing that can be really helpful, just a quick primer on it, is when you run and declare dependencies or import your project from version 8 to version 9, you can check this validation issues under the info tab. And it will kind of give you a high-level overview of issues you might have to address. It'll kind of point you in the direction of things that you can work on to make sure that there is clarity on the full conversion from version 8 to version 9. It kind of gives you a high-level overview on that. So again, dependencies are no longer circular in version 9, but a clean workaround is to create a new project and have that share common elements that's going to be used among your other projects, keeping that dependency in just one direction. Thanks for watching.